the relationship between President Akufo-Addo and that of former Chief of Staff Nana Akufo-Addo got sour because of politics. He is an individual who has been made to Akufo-Addo during their law school. They were the two individuals who, the same time they were called to the bar. But I was so much surprised when people tried to litigate about the legal basis of Akufo-Addo, the president. And Nana Akufo-Addo was sitting in one of the panel discussions on Metro TV. They asked him, Nana Akufo-Addo could not tell Paul Adu Ochre that Nana Addo Dankwa was called to the bar the same year he was called to politics. Number two, the relationship between Justice Pega, former High Court judge, and Nana Akufo-Addo got sour. You know who Justice Pega is? Justice Pega is one lawyer who has partnered with Akufo-Addo to resolve so many cases, about 5 or 6 cases. But Justice Pega filed a writ at the Supreme Court challenging the legal basis of Akufo-Addo. He was called and the case was thrown out of the court. And number 3, Kwasi Pratt Jr. and Kwaku Baku, like I was just telling you about Latif, they sleep in the same room. Their wives, everything they do together. Their relationship started not on themselves. Their relationship started with their parents, to the extent that they also inherited that particular friendship. To the extent today, as we speak, they are not in good terms because of what? Ugly partisan politics. Let me zero down to my personal issue. Yes, it is eating into my tongue, but it is important that we set this very clear. Also, please permit me. My house, where I came from, prime in the Bronhafen region, as we were growing up, we were brought up by one particular individual. My dad brought us together. We are about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 male children, please. Up to the time we got matured, there has not been one individual who has stepped on the toe of other. We were so bounded together. We were doing everything together, consulting each other on timely basis and taking advice from each other. You know what, Wosoja? When I decided to run as a parliamentary candidate for MPP, I left here, went to Ghana, and assembled the entire family, including members of the NDC in my family.
About 1 more minute to summarize it.
Yes, including members of the NDC in my family. Then usher in what I have for them. They gave me very nice advice. Also, then we started. From the time I started up to the time I lost the primary, none of them has ever called me to tell me, oh, do this, do this, do this. As I speak to you now, the relationship has been polarized, it has turned sour because of ugly partisan basis. So if Alhaji Baba had been here, today will have been the last day I will avail myself here, to be very honest with you. But it doesn't mean that I wouldn't come. Anytime you are going to pair the two of us together, I will decline. I intentionally came here to make it very clear, so that today will have been the last program I will avail myself on Adinkra FM, pairing with Alhaji Baba Suwari, because I have a sentimental respect for our relationship. I don't want the relationship to turn into something that we cannot.
Thank you.
Now, you want me to go back?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Yes, it's still Adinkra Radio. Thank you very much. So now, back to the point.
Okay.
Yeah, now back to the point that I was making. I said, election 2020.
Yeah.
Why for or against new registrar?
No,
because just give me 1 minute. According to NDC Director of Elections, Alvis Efriye Angra, he tables so many things during their press conferences, back and forth. They argue that the CI was laid in Parliament on March 17, 2020, whilst the IPAC meeting was held on March 25, 2020. The agenda did not include voters' ID. So the CI, it has been sent to Parliament and it has been withdrawn for like 2 consecutive times. When I talk about the CI for our listeners, is that the constitutional instrument. It's been laid 2 consecutive times and it's been taken. So the IPAC, they are the stakeholders from the various parties. So they come together, and if there's something that they feel like is not going to help the Ghanaian population, they try to work on it, because you cannot do any amendment in Parliament. And also you cannot table a motion in Parliament when you're talking about the CI, like it's a body of itself. So talking about the Electoral Commission, talking about, they had a meeting with the various parties, they were talking about the agenda of the voters register. Now the NDC are also saying no. The CI has already been laid in Parliament. So once it has already been laid, there was nothing, there was no agenda about that. There's been back and forth, people talking about it's not necessary, it's necessary. So I'll give you the opportunity, I'll give you 7 minutes just to give a vivid presentation.
Mr. Osoja,
yes,
you are taking 2 issues at a time. One, if I understand you very well, you want to find out whether there is possibility of holding 2020 election. That is separate from the issue of the voters register. Whether there is possibility that Aba to 2020 December Ebabaso, that is a separate question. And I say, do we need the voter register? We can go into election 2020.
Okay, so let me quickly interject.
Very good.
I think I'm putting 2 questions at the same time.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, first of all, are you for or against a new registrar?
Yes.
That's number 1.
Okay.
And when you look at the polarization of things, do you think, say, we are ready for the 2020 election?
Okay.
I'm just joining on it. Thank you.
You have now made it very clear, because initially I was getting it a little bit confused. Now, let me start from the first question you have asked, whether there's the need for us to have a new voter register or not. Osoja.
Yes.
I am an MPP. I speak here on behalf of MPP as a Director of Communication.
Yes.
Now, Article 36 of the Constitution is unambiguous about the neutrality of the Electoral Commission. It says, among other things, that the EC shall not be subject to direction or control of any person or authority in the performance of its duty. This particular article has been cited severally, or time with a number, by our former president. Mr. Osoja, the position of MPP with reference to the new voter register is unambiguous. It is very clear. Before 2012 general election, this is what you should know. Atta Mills, when he became the president from 2019 up to 2009 up to 2012, Atta Mills, as a president, initiated a voter overhauling. They cleaned up the voters register. That is number 1. President Agyekum Kufuor, when he took power from 2000 to 2008, he also made sure that they sanitized the voters register. President J.J. Rawlings, when he became democratically elected president, he also supervised the overhauling, or better still, the cleaning of the voters register. All what I'm trying to say is that from 1992 to date, all presidents who have been president of our republic have had it within their ambit to change or to overhaul the voters register, with the exception of JM. When JM ascended to the throne as a president in 2012, before December general election, but that time Mills has already done all the necessary work with the EC to make sure that the voters register became sanitized. And that time there was a collaboration and coordination within the MPP. They collaborated with the former President Mills of the blessed memory. They sanitized the voters register against 2012. So between 2012, immediately after the 2012 election, we realized that the voters register was problematic. So MPP started pressing for the voters register to be changed. And you remember the famous Supreme Court petition. So in the Supreme Court petition, it was abundantly evidential that the voters registers was well over bloated with 1 million voters population. And indeed, if you look at how the verdict went on, I call it split decision because it was 5-4 against MPP. 5 members voted for the maintenance of President Mahama as a president, and 4 voted against. Now, out of 9 people, that's why I call it split decision.
Yeah.
And unanimously, all the Supreme Court judges agree that the voters register has a problem and that election shall never be the same. And listen to what one of the justices said. He says that there is no doubt that the petitioners, that means MPP, claim of a bloated voters register have been admitted by the second respondent, that is the EC. And that in paragraph 8 of their second amendment, that is the EC amendment, explain Doche, who was one of the Supreme Court judges, affirmed unanimously that indeed the EC, Afarijan as at that time, admitted that the voters register was bloated. So if it is bloated by 1 million votes, what do we need to do? We need to be able to sanitize it and eliminate people who are alien, who are not Ghanaians, or people who are not supposed to be in the voters register, but unfortunately have found themselves in the voters register. So what I'm trying to say is that the position of the MPP is supported.
So, Alaji, let me quickly interject for just 1 second.
Okay.
I think the NDC were also arguing that the Supreme Court has ruled on the voters register, and they also argue that the previous voters ID is what is called the prima facie document.
Also, you are missing 2 things.
Yeah, you know, I understand you, because we're saying that the Supreme Court,
yes,
like say there should be an overhaul of the register.
Yes.
And when you talk about bloated, do you know that like there are people, like let's say even today, if there's a voting today, there are people that they will pass away today. Even to me wouldn't neck. Even to me wouldn't ra. You know the tendency of say bia nipa do bia say come vote no omunya sa opportunity no aim vote no. Only say no so no e was
definitely, which is why we are calling for a complete, because in the first place, the argument of the MPP and Pesa won't say and our listeners and they say the argument of MPP for a new voter register is backed by Supreme Court ruling. Supreme Court had say voters register no it has a problem, and indeed it has to be sanitized. But unfortunately, after they ruled in favor of John Dramani Mahama from 2000 up to 2016, the president never felt it expedient to initiate a proper registration or re-registration or to follow the directive of the Supreme Court. And to one the empathy no.
Yeah.
Now, what?
So you have 1 more minute.
Why interjected me so me one more minute?
1 minute.
You have targeted me and you are telling me you have 1 minute.
No.
You've taken it.
Not assume.
No. So MPP is arguing that why is MPP in favor of the voters register? This is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. There hasn't been president who from 1992 to date who has not done anything to improve the electoral system of our country, with the exception of JM. JM Nipa Abakupe, our president, he has not been able to add an atom of credibility into our voters register. Number 2, the position of the MPP is backed by the Supreme Court. After 2012 general election petition, the Supreme Court unanimously agreed that the EC ought to do something about the voters register, which JM didn't do. Number 3, MPP wants to improve or enhance certain security features. When I say biometric, so corner say sometimes the machine rejects you
Yeah.
So the NPP said, no, you know what? A lot of people were disenfranchised. For that matter, there's need for us to add certain security features into it. What are some of the security features that the NPP are calling for? They want to add facial recognition. And it's a who machine who face whether you put your hand on the biometric your thumb on the machine or not. Immediately you come very close to the machine, it will scan you, and then your face is going to pop up on the machine, and the go is go. You know what? Also, we are never surprised about the position of the NPP. The call for new voter register is because they have known the NPP is never surprised about the transigent position of the NDC. The NDC, why are they insisting for the maintenance of the old voter register? In the clear evidence of Supreme Court telling people that there is the need for us to sanitize it. Number two, it was President John Dramani Mahama who clearly, in an equivocal tone, stated without any contradiction that, you see, the MPP better have to give the EC enough room to operate, because the EC is an independent commission. It doesn't need to be harassed. Article 36 is very clear about that.
Thank you.
And that they have to continue.
Thank you. Honorable Abdul Latif.
Thank you.
Now the ball is in your court, and I'll give you 10 minutes because I gave Honorable 12 minutes.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be part of this team. I really appreciate it. And to begin with, the position of CPP, just as other political parties, has always been, they're not in support of the idea of the new register. And the reason being is time constraint and for the purpose of peace. Why do we say a register? We all do understand that the EC has been enshrined by the Constitution of the Republic to carry its duties. But unfortunately, the issue of voter register becomes a problem when we head towards election. And that is due to the winner takes all attitude of our political parties. Why am I saying that? Our institutions have failed to work as expected. So whenever a leader is elected into office, he has so much mandate based on the constitutional provision to do whatever he want to do. As we speak, prior to election 2020, there was this issue of the 2012, prior to election 2012. Thank you for the correction. There was this appeal for the cleaning of the register.
Yeah, the register. That's correct.
So meetings were held, other things were done, and fortunately, despite the challenges that we had with that very register, elections were held peacefully. And unfortunately, on the part of the then government, which is the ruling government NDC, they lost the election. So this is the argument. If you, on the position of the MPP, contesting that you have no confidence in the very register that brought you into office, then there should be something fishy with your legitimacy. This is not the time to delve into that for the purpose of peace. So what we're trying to say, as the voice of the masses, based on the time constraint, we do appreciate the need that in subsequent terms there should be a cleanup of the system. But let's stick to what we have. With time, there will be the needed corrections to be done. That will prevent unnecessary tension, which is normal trend when it gets to election. But unfortunately, it's more or less like the government of the day is up to something. For those of us who share the view that the government is up to something, you can't take that away from us, because right from the swearing in of Madame Charlotte Osei, the immediate past EC, there was always a call that she was in one way or the other connected to the ex-administration. So since day one, she was being frustrated. She couldn't even run as expected. To me, I could say it is part of the reasons why things were not done properly. Had she been allowed a free time to work or free role to work, all things being equal, would have had a better system in place. But unfortunately, she wasn't allowed. She was frustrated. As it stands now, we all know the situation at hand, which is this global pandemic. Are we prioritizing party interests ahead of national interests? I don't think that would be right. So what we are appealing to the government and
let me quickly interject. I think whatever we are discussing, it's not about party as of now. We are talking about the NIA, they are independent body.
Yeah.
When you talk about the Electoral Commission, they are independent body. So it is only when the NIA, the EC are in bed with a particular party, then you can talk about, are we trying to politicize it? I just want to present this vivid picture. And also, I'm seeing that it's like talking about during the term of Afari-Gyan, then Charlotte Osei, then Jane Mensah. It's like we don't really trust our electoral commissioners. Is it okay for our country?
That's not okay.
Just proceed, but it's like that's one thing I'm seeing. That's like we don't really, believe them. We don't have the trust in them. But is it going to continue that if a new political party also come into power, you also feel like, oh, now I have to get a new EC? So it's just a short presentation, so you can continue with your flow.
Yeah, on the issue of as to whether we need to continue or the EC has to be allowed a free role, that has always been the tradition, right from the days of Afari-Gyan to Madam Charlotte and to Jane Mensah. That has always been the case. But what some of us are calling for is absolute transparency. The EC, under normal circumstance, is mandated by the law to carry out a duty. But the issue of conflict of interest steps in because she's been appointed, or whoever steps in as the EC is being appointed by the government of the day. So most people begin to feel like, since this person is being appointed by that person, and that person is in power, the same person is contesting, it's most likely they are in bed. And for that matter, whatever appeal, even if the appeal are legitimate, people begin to sound a word of caution. So what we're trying to say, in the long term, let's try to prioritize the national interest ahead of party interest. Our institutions should be allowed to operate as expected. I would be glad if MPP and other parties will come to a consensus that, fine, we do appreciate the need for a new voter register, but based on the situation at hand, let's stick to what we have, carry out the election, then after the election, we can do all the necessary correction that we have to do. But if we have to spend time going back and forth, we have to do this, we have to do that, I don't think it's going to help matters. What makes it very alarming is the idea that you need a passport and Ghana card to be able to even register.
Yeah.
The question here is, how many of our people do have the Ghana card? Most people have registered and they are yet to have it. With the issue of passport, we all know in Ghana, it becomes a necessary thing when someone intends traveling. We are told having a birth certificate is not enough as basis of being a citizen of Ghana. But it's the same birth certificate that you are required to have to secure a passport. That is double standard. So to just sum it up, I think the best would be the EC has to realize she's serving the people of Ghana. The voice of the people has to be taken into consideration in order not to ignite confusion. We all know how elections do propel misunderstanding and confusion in a society, particularly in Africa. With where we're sitting, US and Europe, you hardly hear election confusion. But because people do invest so much into politics back in Africa, election are seen as do or die affair, which shouldn't be the case. So to sum up, I do agree, and my position on this issue is that the timing and for the essence of peace, we don't have or we don't need a new voter register. We just stick to what we have, carry out the election. After the election, whatever necessary correction that has to be done should be done. That is my position, and I think most Ghanaians, from what I'm seeing, do share that view. But if we are to insist that at all costs, though this is the position of the EC, she's allowed or she has the mandate to do whatever she has to do, she shouldn't forget to realize she's serving the interests of the masses, not just interests of a selected few Ghanaians, that is either the party in power or the executive that she's relating with. On that note, I'll draw the curtain of my submission down.
Thank you, Honorable Abdul Latif. Honorable Latif, I think that I will put away. Actually, I think that according to the director of the NIA, Ken Atafua. Atafua. Yeah, he made mention the new voter ID was legal and legal, right? That was an amendment of Section 8, Article 750, to exclude voters' ID, driver's license, baptismal certificate, weighing card for acquiring NIA card, was wholly supported by the entire Parliament. No opposition or pimper on Parliament. Passport was also supported by the NDC, the CPP. So now, if the other parties are saying that the new NIA card, which you have to use passport, is enfranchised to the population, was forced, then I think there's a question mark. So I will just give you like few seconds, if maybe you can just explain for our listeners to understand.
Yeah. On what you just said, both parties or most of the stakeholders did subscribe to that. But like we always say, to err is human. And with time, people begin to raise questions about what they even agreed on based on changing situations. I don't think, had it not been the issue of this pandemic and other pressing reasons, the people will complain or question the idea of a new voter register. We all do subscribe to the idea of a new voter register, but what makes it complicated is the timing. So based on the timing and the need for safety and peace, that is why we calling on the EC to stick to what it has, carry the election. Whatever need or amendment that has to be done could be done at a later date. It would have been a big issue if it was NDC, which is the major opposition party, that is insisting on a new voter register because they lost the election. And in this case, NDC, which is the major opposition leader or party, is not the party calling for a new voter register. It's rather the government of the day, which makes it mind-boggling. Because if you trust a system that brought you to power, what is the change or what caused the change? I hope you do. Get that.
Yeah, thank you. And you know, Honorable Mazu, maybe I say, member 5 minutes. Na sama oka no. We have 5 minutes after. Okay, 5 minutes now.
Okay. Thank you so much. I've listened to my younger brother very well, and then he was able to chronicle some of the malnourished argument of the opposition parties. You know, they are entitled to their own opinion. But let me start from where he ended, about the fact that the MPP came into power with the old discredited register, and that we have agreed to that. Let me point it very clear here and then, that MPP never trusted that voters register, especially after the Supreme Court ruling. We insisted and maintained.
But they still won.
Yes.
They still won.
Yes.
And they'll also use it for...
Take your time.
Okay.
We insisted and maintained in our position that that particular voters register is not trustworthy. So if the government of the day had listened to us, they would have changed it. But you see, It was beyond. It was beyond the reach of the MPP to initiate that change. And it was during that time that President John JM stated explicitly that the EC is working with Article 36 of the Constitution. That clearly spelled the neutrality and the independence of the Electoral Commission. And that the MPP should not be bothering the EC to go in and change the voters register. So we press. People were beaten. We want on peaceful demonstration. Press, but they didn't listen to us. So you realize that the principal position of the MPP was for a new voter register even before the election. So thank God that the people of Ghana, using that same discredited electoral voter, voted for us and that we won. We should be able to back our position by credible evidence. The fact that we won with the voters register doesn't make it sacrosanct. The fact that we won with well over 1 million voters votes doesn't make the voters register credible. You see, one thing you have to understand is that, Mr. Osuja, the NDC as a political party, sorry to exclude your party because after the 1966 general 19 February 24th coup d'etat, 66, the CPP never had the opportunity to rule Ghana again. So if I'm making reference with NDC MPP, you should better understand. Now it's good, fair. Yeah. Also, the NDC as a political party, as a matter of fact, has never improved the electoral system of our country from 1992 to date. 1992, we went into the election in the classroom with opaque ballot box. MPP said no, that is not how we do democracy. The NDC insisted we send the matter to court. The court ruled in favor of MPP. 1996, they were going to cast ballot. We were going into election with a passport, voter's ID card, where your picture does not show. MPP insisted and told the people that this is not how we do election. The era of Takashi and Buga politics is over. We should better have to sanitize because Ghana is beacon. We are the first black nation to gain independence. So we should be able to live by that accolade. We went to court. The court ruled in favor of the MPP that they should bring the passport, the picture of an individual in his voter's ID card. In 1996, between 1996 to 2000, NDC, what they did was that when the court ruled in favor of the MPP, they went and brought a colored passport picture. And the colored passport picture has a problem. So we insisted that we need black and white. They brought black and white. We went to court, we won. So in 2000, after we won, we sanitized the system. All what I'm trying to tell you is that there hasn't been an atom of improvement coming from the NDC with respect to enhancing the credibility and sustainability of our voters register. Now there was issue. No,
you have 2 more minutes.
Yes,
yeah, I understand you.
Good.
I just want
there was issue of this thing that my brother said, that the government of the MPP is up to something. Let me state here that the MPP is not any up to something. Let me be brutally frank with you, with or without the new voters register, the MPP is going to win the 2020 election very clear, inshallah. Because the good people of Ghana know the track record of the MPP. The MPP is not banking our hope or our fortunes or our victory on the new voters register. But what we're trying to do is to make sure that Ghana democracy, Ghana, our system of election go far. We are introducing certain security futures.
I'll come back to you, Honorable Mazu. He said, Dole, MPP is going to win. I think I will have a question for the two of you, but now let me give Honorable Abdul Latif to counter what you're saying. General Latif, you have 5 minutes.
Yeah. On the issue of transparency or the NDC or there hadn't been a proper arrangement on how to get a clean system, which is a clean voter register. I would say it's not just limited to MPP for calling for that. It's a nationwide appeal that was started and supported, and fortunately, because that was the biggest opposition party, they capitalized on that to push the agenda for a clean voter register. And it doesn't take, like we keep saying, Rome is not built in a day. So it's systematic. The appeal for a transparent election was initiated, supported. The idea of getting a voter card came up, and elections were carried. Despite the challenges that we have with our voter register, former President Jerry Lawrence won in 92, still won in 96, with the same system that we don't trust. Former President Kufuor came into office. There was the same issue of the government of the day trying to manipulate the system to favor the then president on the part of the NDC and other political parties. Elections were held in 2004 after the first term of former President Kufuor, and he won with the same voter register. So the argument here is, it has always been the tradition prior to election, political parties will push either for or against a voters register. What we are appealing to the current administration, that's the Electoral Commission, is based on the situation at hand, we should just stick to what we have.
That you put the AC administration under the current administration.
Somehow, because the appointment of the EC comes from the president. The nature of our constitution is such that the president appoints the EC. So whoever appoints you in one way or the other, we all know how the game is.
To them.
Exactly. In real sense, I would have preferred just a change of one person at the camp of the EC. But 4 members were changed. Previous deputies were not even allowed to assume higher offices. So in that case, it means there was something underground, which I don't think is appropriate for the government of our country.
Yes, let me
if we are to push and push, it might ignite an unrest.
Let me dive a little bit into what you said. You see, appointment of people like the Electoral Commission, the head of the NCC, and National Media Commission and stuff like that, is a creation of the Constitution. There's no place where the president can just get up one day and say, without any prima facie case, I'm going to remove you as easy. No. There was a compelling reason why Saleh Osai was removed. And so
definitely, like a case must be
you understand? A case must be established beyond measures. We had issues with Afari-Jam. The 1992 election was not conducted by Afari-Jam. The 1992 election was supervised by a different person. Between 1992 to 1996, that person passed away and Afari-Jam took over. MPP had series of problems with Afari-Jam, but we never tried to bend it. Today, as we speak, Afridi Ankara is saying on air that they know the residents of Jem Mensah, and that if anything happen, they are marching straight to her. You don't have to threat the creation of the Constitution with these unnecessary utterances. Mr. Osoja, my brother Abdul Latif, in the course of the discussion, he mentioned 2 issues that needs to be addressed. One of it was that he talks about time constraint.
Yeah, I think that's my next question. So
he talked.
Yeah.
Should I wait for you to ask, or I should continue?
No, just give me 1 second,
Okay.
because I thought maybe you just use like 30 seconds or 45 seconds,
Okay.
To say something. So let me just give this quick, presentation. When you look at the Ghana population now, when you go to the NIA website, it stands at 29,510,799. We're talking about Ghana's population. Then we expect almost 17 million people to be registered. 17 million people to be registered. The number of people that has been registered is 11,000.
That has been registered. Is it with the EC or the national identification?
No, that's what I'm getting. It's 10,060,270, right? Then the printed IDs, the printed cards stands at 10,789,784. 10,789,784. And the cards that has been issued to people is 7,091,776. These are the cards that have been given to people. Okay, now my question is, do you think the timing of the paging of the voters registration is right? Or
when is the timing? When do they pay?
That's the question.
Oh.
It's not you. I'm not putting it to you.
Yes.
It's a general question that I'm just.
Yes, I understand you. Let me tell you something.
Do you think the timing is okay or there is a concern? And why do you think the timing is okay?
Also, Ja, what we don't understand is that, or what we seem not to get very well, is the fact that we don't need all the total population of Ghana to be on the voters register. That is not what it means. Here, when we're talking about the total population of a country, we even include minors, people who are not eligible to vote. They are all included. When somebody is born and the data is taken, they all included. As I speak to you now, the current voters register has 30 million population, has 30 million people, but it miraculously shot up to 14 million. So let's assume that we have only 14.
But do you have? Sorry to interject.
Oh, go ahead.
Not to disrespect you.
Oh no.
But do you have a proof of the allegation that you elaborated?
No, I'm not saying,
because you're saying that it was 13 million people registered and it shot up to 14 million.
Yes.
But do you have any points?
Oh, Mr. Osoja, I am telling you on authority, the current voters register contain 40 million legible voters. Go to the EC website, you can verify that.
Okay.
It used to be, which is why we are even calling for that. That was why the Supreme Court backed our position of the MPP. And then indeed, the EC, under the supervision of Charlotte Asai, it was the administration of Charlotte Asai that we had the election petition, right? Yes. They agree to what I am telling you about. It is not an allegation, it is something which is substantial. Now, what I'm trying to say is that we don't need the total population of a country to be on the voters register before elections are conducted. If we even get 15 million, 16 million, 17 million, fine and good, we have no problem with that. But you see, the issue of timing, the issue of time constraint is neither here nor there. In 2012, during the time of Atta Mills, it was left with only 5 months to election, where we have the voters register being overhauled. 5 months, only 5 months to election. MPP collaborated and coordinated with the administration of Atta Mills vis-a-vis that of the EC. Do you know it is MPP that muted the idea of us having a biometric voters register? It is the MPP. The MPP are notoriously noted for improving the electoral system of our country. But for our cases, forget about them. These are people who specialize only and only in inaptitude, technical bankruptcy, and incompetency. That is the NDC. So the issue of timing is neither here nor there. 5 months to election, Atta Mills under the old administration, that was Afarijan. We went,
so
we organized.
If I did, hear you right, it's the NPP recommends to the NIA or the Electoral Commission, because I think...
No, let's dwell on the EC now.
Yeah.
Forget about the NIA.
Okay, so the point is, what I'm trying to say is the Electoral Commission is a different body of itself. You understand what I'm saying? So what you are trying, if I may, if I did hear you right, like they propose or they suggest
Who?
that you mean the MPP. You were using the word like the MPP notoriously, like always thinking about like improving.
No, we have what we call the Inter-Party Advisory Committee.
Yeah, the IPAC. Exactly.
Now, what the NDC is failing to do is that they should use that platform.
One second. So let me quickly. You see, the reason I'm psychologically.
Because sometimes I get confused about your question.
Yeah. The reason why I'm psychologically interjecting is that the MPP, the NDC guy who was supposed to be here, fortunately or unfortunately, did not show up.
Okay.
So, like you're pushing the questions, and I know, like you are highly, educated person that you can really elaborate, explain into details for our listeners to understand what you're saying. That's why I psychologically.
Now, also, just listen to me here.
Yeah. So my question, I was going to tell you that IPAC, is a stakeholder for all the parties to come together. So when there's an issue, they talk about it. If there needs to be an amendment or they should improve it, then they put it. They summarize. That's what I'm saying, that before this, the CI was laid in Parliament, they met. But with the recent one, the NDC were saying that because the president issued like restriction, they feel like it's kind of disrespectful for them to meet. And also, the very day that we're having that meeting, they were divided into two. So we're going to talk about an issue, and there's a tendency, we know that like 2/3 of members form a quorum. So definitely, I want to express my views. You want to express your views. So why do you divide the parties into two? I know it's about social distancing, but do you think it is the right thing to do? Because this is not about NDC, it's not about NPP, we're talking about the EC. Was it the right thing for the EC to create like two different groups? The first group come in, talk about issue, the next person, the next group, because sometimes
also, I'm not really getting you. The questions are too barkatai. Here, the issue is that the EC is a body that administers the election. We have stakeholders which are the political parties. The political parties, they dialogue with the EC. All the improvement that I'm talking about, the MPP initiated, they did that through the Inter-Party Advisory Committee. So many want na ma catch us say yes. The MPP but where the government or the EC as at that time Afarijan disagree with them, they said, example, the use of the picture ID. Afarijan as Electoral Commission, I wouldn't say Rollis. Let's dwell with the EC. Afarijan as Electoral Commission, also you tell me, what's it there be one penny? After the MPP pressed the issue at the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, they didn't agree. So the MPP filed the issue into court. That was during Rollis regime, Latif. When the issue went to court, MPP won. The court verdict was that the EC should go by using picture ID on the voters register. So all what I'm trying to tell you is that if NDC is saying that we don't need a new voter register, they should avail themselves in IPAC, dialogue, listing. But you see now, let me land it.
I don't see the reason why I say you don't really get what I'm saying. Because the same thing I make actually say, the IPAC meeting, that was to be held, I think, on March 25th, NDC for Omanko, because some of them say the protocol that has been set, and more can say on meeting.
Protocol, I
think that government actually say more munchia, and talking about we have essential duties, and EC is not part of those essential duties. I would say,
Mr. Osoja.
Mami land is so 1 second. I'm landing. Near me, say meeting NDC anko. NDC has been going to the IPAC meeting. So I'm not sure. But this particular one on March 25th, Omo anko, because Omo feel say government LA protocol say they shouldn't meet. In the other thing is every busam ran so no meeting. Until that very day on March 25th, the NDC representative went there and spoke about it and left. And maybe so I would say, like consistently, the NDC has been part of IPAC meetings except March 25th. And on March 25th, the CI, the constitutional instrument, has already been laid in Parliament. It's not saying but you make an ultimacy.
Matthias.
Uh-huh.
But you see, they say, the issue of the new voter register didn't start within this era of COVID-19. You remember they had demonstration in Tamale.
Yeah.
You remember they had demonstration in Sunyani. They replicated that same demonstration in Accra way before the pandemic erupted. So all what I'm trying to tell you is that the NDC as a political party has been consistently inconsistent when it comes to issues, even with reference to Ghana. TAO, do you know they admonish the people of Ghana not to even go for the Ghana card? They told people not to go for a Ghana card. But you see, all in all, what I'm trying to say is that whether NDC likes it or they don't like it, then EC is going to compile a new voter register. They should tell their members. They have almost, when you look at the core support-based members of the NDC, it forms only 44%. The percentage that John Dramani Mahama got. He should communicate to them that when EC is compiling the new voter register, the members of the NDC shouldn't go. Because we don't need any confusion. Now, Abdul Latif was even talking about peace. Why should the compilation of new voter register brings about chaos? I can hear Atukono. I can hear Baba Jamal. I heard Sami Jamfi singing the chorus of "There's going to be war." Who are you going to fight with? When NDC was conducting its own electoral registration, MPP never did anything like this. Please, they should better be law-abiding citizens. We dialogue. With due respect, I quote to you what Professor Abrifa Buzia said. He said, and I quote, "In the field of political discourse, it is only words and not bullets that will flow." So if the NDC want us to have a proper democratic journey, they should be law-abiding citizens. Come out and vote. MPP won in 2016 by the will of God. We are going to win 2020 by the will of God. And today, as I speak to you, we have a lot of credible achievement that will be able to articulate to the good people of Ghana. They are going to vote for MPP because of that. As I speak to you, more than 10,000 people who were captured under unemployment, to the extent that Ghana, there was an association of graduate unemployment. Today, they are not on the street again. So all these people are going to vote for MPP. Today, as we speak, people have been able to have access to free education. Their parents are casting their vote for the MPP. So if you have nothing to articulate, you remember, if you can tell me, it's unfortunate that the NDC guy is not here, whether they will be able to tell me the campaign slogan of NDC before election 2016. You can't just man platform and tell people NDC, Idebikike, NDC, Abekase, and then you think the people of Ghana are going to take you as serious people.
Abdul Latif,
what I have to say is, we all do appreciate the need for a new voter register, but based on the situation at hand, it will be proper that we stick to what we have, conduct the election. If you do recollect, this same voter register was used for the district assembly elections, and it went smooth. No complaints or whatsoever about the credibility of the winners. So if after conducting a successful district assembly election, we still think the voter register is not credible enough, I think it's neither here or there. Let's stick to what we have. Conduct the election. With time, we can do the necessary amendments. Most people today are not even motivated to walk outside or come outside, line up, and even partake in issues of this sort. The motivation that people used to have when it comes to party politics is no more there. Why? Because political parties for some time now have exhibited they are up to something that is their personal interest, not the interest of the masses. And in order not to make it complicated for people not to have access to issues of this sort, that is having access to partake in national dialogue like voting, I think we should just stick to what we have. With time, the necessary amendment that has to be done could be done. But if you are talking about a do or die affair, it has to be, there should be a new voter register. Today is this, tomorrow is that. I don't think it's good for the safety of our country.
Yes.
We always say it has nothing to do with the safety. It is. Elections are do or die affair in Africa because it's a means of investment. People are expecting to recoup their investment from politics. So for some of us, we wouldn't wish to plunge our country into chaos.
Yeah.
So we are appealing to the Electoral Commissioner to revise her notes, see what is best for the country, instead of the alleged issue of taking side with the government of the day. That will not help in making matters best for the country. And we also, on this, we're also appealing to other political parties to find appropriate channel to channel their grievances instead of mounting on radio shows to ignite unnecessary tension
and building war drums.
Yeah, it cuts across, not just the major opposition party, which is NDC. Both are doing that, which is not helping matters.
Thank you. We're going on a short break.
Before your short break, please, let me just keep it. Just 1 minute before you go on the show. I'll allow you. You see, my brother.
Yeah, one second.
Everybody say.
We are back to the studios, and now we're jumping back onto the great Honorable Mazu.
Yeah, also.
Yeah,
good. Before you went for the break, I was appealing for you to give me 1 or 2 minutes about the issues that my brother concerned. It's a very legitimate concern. Every political actor, especially who does not subscribe to the teachings and principles of the MPP, will articulate the way he has been able to say about the safety nature of the or the unsafety nature of the environment, if you like it. Yes. Unfortunately, because of the transition position of the various political parties, they are bent on not going to agree to the new voters register. So they put in a blind eye, even on the safety measures that the EC has spelled out. Abdul Latif, if you care to know, the EC has put in place certain safety measures, and in fact, if the Ghanaians really adhere to that, we wouldn't have any problem. As I speak to you now, Abdul Latif, we have had so many countries that have gone into election during this pandemic, and some countries will even still go into the election. Take for instance South Korea. Their cases are worse than what we are having. South Korea is almost in the neighborhood of 12,000 cases with 267 deaths. South Korea, but they went into the election. Mali, as I speak to you now, Mali will be going into election. Malawi is going into election. Burundi will go into election. So all these things, what we need to understand also that is the fact that COVID-19 has come to stay with us.
Yeah.
Always we hear people say that we have to adopt safety measures by putting our mask, by washing our hands. We do observe that, Abdul Latif.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is to adhere to certain safety protocols that will mitigate the chances of you getting the disease. What are some of the measures that the EC has spelled out? Now, the first measure is that there should be a compulsory wearing of nose and then face mask. And so,
it's face mask.
Exactly. And to go no one share with mask completely. We show mask now jina area lime. And then number 2, the temperature of every voter, every person who is going to be registered.
I think that when you go on the EC website, it's state category.
Once the people, not every people go into that, and I am espousing the views of the MPP, I have to articulate it so that the people will get to understand that the EC has adopted certain safety measures. When people adhere to those safety protocols,
so
they will.
Benica, you are speaking as a neutral person.
I'm not speaking as a neutral person. I'm speaking as a member of MPP.
Yeah, I understand you perfectly, but I just want you to see. I want you to state your case clear.
Yes.
Because now it's about the EC.
It's about the EC.
That is your opinion, or that is what.
Listen to me also, Ja. The MPP is in agreement with what the EC is doing.
Okay.
We wholeheartedly agree to that. Our position has been very principled, non-negotiable. We were looking for the change of voter register before 2016. We couldn't do that. John Mahama said that we should allow the EC free hand to operate. We shouldn't interfere in the activities of, quoted copiously from Article 36 of the Constitution. We didn't have voter register. We want power with that discredited voter register, and we felt that there's the need for us to sanitize, to make the voter register look very credible. Now one year said where there were chances where they were able to trace people from Togo into the Ghana voter register. One year. Latif, I don't know whether you are privy to that.
I don't know. When you say that, it's just hearsay.
What are you talking about hearsay? When the Electoral Commissioner of Togo collaborated, what I'm talking about.
No, do you have the evidence to prove?
I am telling you on authority. Missy Tio Osoja. That's a who in your politician. We are the politicians, and we are telling you what is going on there. You understand?
Yeah,
so there's now let me add to the we are now Abisami. Number 2 issue this
it's not clear to
when
me.
I will
if it's based on evidence, but so when it becomes something like hearsay.
No. Did you follow once you want us to get it? Did you follow the electoral petition?
I follow everything.
So did you see that? You didn't see that?
No.
So that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm saying. That like you,
it has been bad.
Educating people.
I am educating people But you are pushing me to look as if.
That's the question I'm asking you. Do you have an evidence to back it? I don't want to be hearsay.
That's what I'm asking you. Whether you are privy. I have come down. Somebody told me come also, you see, who got 2012 election petition? We were able to provide incontrovertible evidence to back our stand, to the extent that names of Togolese were found in our voters register that has been corresponded by the EC of Togo. This thing ought to stop. We are Ghanaians, we are paying our own taxes. Togolese shouldn't come and elect or impose somebody that they want. I said, we are not. And so now, Ansana.
Yeah, what we're trying to say on the issue of people not being.
No, let me learn. I have spelled out some arguments. The safety. You raised the issue of safety, so I have to take my time and then educate you about that. And some of the listeners who still have the same myopic understanding about the safety mechanisms of the AEC. That's what I'm telling you. They have adopted one, compulsory wearing of the mask. Number two, they are telling people that if you're coming to get yourself registered, you have to wear a mask. Then, when you get to the ballot booth, right? That's how we call it. When you get to the ballot where they are registering you, your temperature, they are going to use temperature gun. When they show the gun to you, it will read your temperature. If your temperature is above 30-something degrees, it means that you are suspicious. They'll put you aside. And then they do that. Then another issue is that liquid soap. Immediately when you go there, you cast or you get registered. There's a soap that they are going to provide to you. You wash your hand and leave. That number three, which is the most important element, that is social distancing. People will not be allowed to get very close to each other within the certain ring. So that if we are able to adopt in the midst of this pandemic, I'm sitting here with you, we discussing without any.
Mazu, let me just quickly interject. Me think say NPP they've been in power for the past 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah. And if they want to effect a change for 3 consecutive years, I don't see any more to me and change the way no. Because now what I'm saying is that I'm talking about
the register.
I'm talking about the register. Yeah. What I'm saying is that NPP has been in power until once they have it in mind, say there must be a change, I didn't see any for 3 good years, but now, it's just like with 6 months. I just want us to be neutral.
Oh yeah.
Let us be neutral. I didn't see Anna is like I cut 3 months, and I cut almost 6 months to 7 months. I say, if it's an election, but there's a time now your person ain't changing. And at the same time, look at the friction. Now, we've come, COVID-19 has come to live with us, which we don't doubt it. Right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're talking about the timings. Do you say sad timings winner because as I registration, there are so many things to do with this.
My understand you.
Yeah.
Now let me speak. Let me speak reasonably here, without any politics. Ghana has a problem. Ghana as a country, we have a problem.
Bacho, one second. Latif, Bacho. What time? And that time in Iowa.
The issue of the safety, on the issue of the safety, I think, like said, you can indicate, Ghana for the donor fees, election tension, I ban, and yeah, so it will be good. Say, best take you to the old register that we have, Obi better say, the intenders take you with the old register, Most of the reasons are a pushing for the amendment, and I say a new voter register has to do with this. Has to do with trying to take away some people out of the register. The MPP's position has always been we have a version of some number of people who are not Ghanaians but have managed to register. It's unfortunate to say we have this number of people who are not Ghanaians but have managed to register. Meanwhile, it's the same register, like we keep saying, that you are capitalizing on to serve the people of Ghana. How can you pinpoint this, that, or so person wasn't supposed to register, but at the end of the day has registered. Election malpractice has been with us for time immemorial. In most of the strongholds of these political parties, most of the time we do hear the issue of multiple or double voting. So it's not limited to the opposition or the current administration. Like we keep saying, based on the situation at hand, we do acknowledge the measures that has been outlined or laid out by the EC. But for the essence of the safety and the collective goal of Ghana, let's stick to what we have, conduct the election with time. Whatever amendment that has to be done can be done gradually. If we are to be in a haste, try to make amendments, indirectly we're splitting the country into two, because others will feel peeved, and once a person feels peeved, what happens? It draws the nation into misunderstanding.
Before 2016,
you cannot also take the law into your own hands. Because
we do understand that people cannot take the law into their own hands.
That's correct.
But in most cases, like the instance that was cited by Boachijan, which people felt he was going overboard, he had to be queried. He was saying it as it is. In most countries in Africa, most of the issues of wars, chaos comes as a result of election.
Let me tell you this. You know what Boachijan said constitute treasonable offense?
No, it doesn't. Because we have a sitting president that at some point in time did say, all die be die.
Oh,
was that classified as treason? No. In as much as we accept the fact that we have freedom of expression, there are times to speak overboard.
Let me ask you. I'm telling you that what Boachijan said constitute a treasonable offense.
No, it doesn't.
Number two, looking at his military background, Boachijan is a serial coup piece. He's an individual who specializes in coup. And coming out from a background of this statement constitute a very treasonable offense. You are telling me that
he was only expressing his take as a concerned Ghanaian.
Let me tell you, whether you express an expression of a statement should come with decency and decorum. People have expressed a divergent view from what the AC is articulating, but they did that with cogent reasons. Look, you know Boachijan very well.
I do.
He is the master behind the 1979 revolution. He was taken out of the country. Rhodes take him out. Not until 2000 election that brought in President Kufuor. That was after 2000 election that Boachijan came into the country.
Let's just drop that side. I just want us to draw the line.
Good. So if you are telling me now, if you are telling me, yes, I understand that. If you are telling me that somebody elsewhere say all die be die, was he invited by the BNI? And it was in the administration of the NDC. If they did, that statement constitute a treasonable statement. Was he invited?
He wasn't invited.
Good.
And to me,
So
most of the reason why he wasn't invited was for the purpose of peace.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, for the purpose of peace, because we all know the influence.
Please.
We all know the influence that former.
Latif, please.
Let's be fact. Let's stick to the fact.
Is Akufo-Addo above the laws of
He's not above the
so
law.
What are you talking
and
about?
we know the way we massage our laws to favor certain individuals in the country. So he wasn't invited.
Today as we speak, John Mahama, as an ex-president, he is on his way to CID.
Yeah.
As we speak to you now, Rawlings time with a number has been invited by the CID. So what basically are you talking about? Akufo-Addo is not above the law. They will look at the magnitude and the enormity of your statement. If it constitutes under the rubrics of treason, they invite you. Akufo-Addo, as an opposition leader, he's not above the law. What he said does not constitute treason. What he said does not constitute igniting people to demonstrate against a well-constituted authority in our system. We have in our history who said Ghana will burn. As I speak to you now, the General Secretary of NDC, Asedun Ketia, is on record just 3 days ago to have said that if the EC is bent on conducting a new voter register, Ghana is going to be ungovernable.
General Mosquito, Ubatima Magana, ungovernable.
Yeah, but
They should initiate it and see the consequences.
But I think when the person used the word ungovernable, I don't think say you can conclude it by your interpretation.
No, then interpret it to me.
No,
Ungovernable means what? You tell me.
I don't think.
And yet, also, now who are who? Yes, soldier, you won't see ungovernable at here. Get out! Somebody NDC are catching me. Soldier, I wouldn't name the word ungovernable.
Listen.
Ungovernable simply means that we put every system of our government into a halt.
But what I'm saying is that you cannot interpret it because let me.
Who would we soldier interpret it for me? See my essay.
From a layman point of view, it can give a different interpretation.
Tell me, I have given it to you as a layman. Tell me.
Can you just give me 1 second?
I have given you.
And also, when you go to the legal system, when you go to the legal system, it can be a different interpretation. Now we can say former president has been invited by the CID, if I may have you right. Now can right?
Yeah.
Is it any comment that Omeki and
no, and
it's because of the Abronya Abronya issue, no?
Exactly.
And it's the same thing. And I think there should be some kind of decency in our politics.
Good.
Because sometimes the way we talk, sometimes I
am of the view that okay, go ahead.
You know, like when you look at the way Abronya Ekasa about ex-president Mama, he's a statesman. I think that dignity and respect should be accorded him. Like, you know, listen, I love you so much because, you know, most of the time in your presentation, you always say that let's put politics aside and let's speak as people.
Like I earlier on said, I'm going to speak reasonable.
As reasonable. That is the catchword.
Yes.
I think that's the way politics is supposed to be. But for you discrediting a former president, leveling accusations against him, if you have a case with him, the court system is there.
It's there for you.
So the basic democracy in the war on my mono.
Yeah. Matthias here, one will say, in reference to that, or putting that what you said in a context.
Yeah.
What will say my opening statement? If Alhaji Babaswari will continue, it's one part of. Oh, one tear here. We want this. It's a politics deal. Oh, one tear me. It's not this. I need to because of the respect I have for him. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to say something that will hurt him. Latif, I don't know whether you understand me. I call his wife Unlimited. Latif wife calls me, I call them. Go on their channel. And bringing that into context, what I'm trying to say, I agree with you. There are issues that needs to be discussed outside the realms of ugly NDC, MPP, and CPP. Latif.
Now, I think I said,
I have big problem with people who use abusive or intemperate vocabulary against politicians. I don't subscribe that.
If you say more decent politicians are like somebody coming on the platform doesn't mean say you are going to argue. And at the same time, when you say and somebody can we just want to educate the public. And at the end of the day, no.
Oh no. Let me advance with the Abronya. Please
because one person will have problem in if we are going to it's the issue that we're going to talk about. It's not about personal.
Understanding.
Thank you.
That is my personal ideology. And
okay.
This is purely personal. I have problem with people who normally use intemperate language and unprintable vocabularies against politicians or against their colleagues. I don't like it at all. Personally, the way Abronya is tackling ex-President Mahama, I don't like it.
Thank you.
I still have people within the NDC who are describing Akufo-Addo in certain language. I don't like it. I want us to have a decency in our politics. Listen, you see this issue of ECI, not until these two major political parties, the NDC and the MPP, began to respect the neutrality and objectivities of the EC
so
under.
Are you leaving the CPP out?
Oh, I'm saying the same other parties. What say other parties?
We are mistaken. Just
Not until the two major parties, I can still stand on that and expatiate my language. Because when is CPP coming into power? With your performance below 0 point something percent, the last election,
CPP, as we say,
the last election.
No. Hold on.
Today, as I speak to you,
it's regrouping. So, if you talk about when are we coming to power, how long did it take an MPP to get to power? It took them several years to get to power. So, as to whether CPP or CPP is not well organized today, that doesn't make it a basis to say when are we coming to power.
Abdul Latif.
No. We need to accept that.
MPP,
we all appreciate the fact that NDC and MPP are the major parties in the country.
Good.
But it takes time. And it takes education. Gradually, most people, from what I'm seeing and from what majority are saying, are not happy with the two major parties in the country.
No, they have to accept it.
No, they are not happy. It doesn't come to stay. It takes education for people to realize why don't we change for the better.
Let me show you.
And with CPP's track record, none of them can match it.
No, let me show you a little. Let me give you a little bit political tutorial here. You brought about the issue of MPP. It took us long time before we come to power. No, it took us more than 30 years.
Yeah, so
you know why? You do you know the reason?
Explain to our listeners.
Very good. After the government of the Buzia administration, the Progress Party was overthrown in 1972. There was a military administration from 1972 up to 1979. It was dominated by the military officers until about 1979, when election was held. And the offshoot of the MPP tradition, as at that time, was the the Popular Front Party, which was headed by Victor Usu. We went into the election. There was a confusion between Victor Usu and Pawuli. The heads of the MPP got split, and Hidayinema won the election of 1979. From 1979, 1981, Rawlings came over. Rawlings, after the overthrow of the Hilal Liman administration, dominated the political space up to 1992. So how can MPP win? Up to 1992, we went into election, he won. 96, he won. After 2000 election, we won. And since then, power kept on alternating between MPP and NDC. And let me tell you, take your time and let me give you this information. This is just a free tutorials. In 2000,
we are not here to give tutorials. We are here to educate our listeners. So let's focus on educating our listeners.
Let me tell you,
we all understand that
the
CPP is struggling. The mere fact that CPP is struggling is not basis to say they are out of business.
Take your time.
MPP was similarly struggling.
No, we never had the same magnitude of problems that the CPP is having. You know why? After multi-party democracy was opened in 1992, you remember, I don't know whether you were sufficiently grown up enough at that time to cast your vote.
Thank you. But just 1 second.
Okay.
I think that the next question is I think that the NDC, now the leading opposition party, right?
Yeah.
They are complaining that whatever the NIA, the EC are doing, they are doing it in favor of NPP. And according to statistics that we're giving, like in Northern Region, right, they registered, NIA registered 981,947. Then total cards that has been issued is 328,115. So the cards that has not been issued stands at 653,832. The cards that have not been issued. When it comes to the Volta region, that is also the NDC stronghold. Registered members are 887,906. The cards that has been issued is 386,676. And cards that has not been issued is 501,230, which means more than 50% has not been issued. Then when you go to the Ashanti region, which is the MPP stronghold, they've registered almost about 2,467,617. And you know, like Omega said, I didn't see, and I had the stronghold of the NDC, you know, like the registration has been very slow. Then when it comes to the strongholds of NPP, you know, and also, you know, I said registration, you know, Koso and Tenten.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that the piece of advice are, yeah, NDC for it's rather unfortunate to say the NDC are not here. The NDC, you know, representative is not here. Because now that the time that they are using, arguing back and forth, talking about this registry and stuff, I think they could have used that period to educate their supporters as to how to register, regardless. As how to register, as how to vote, and even underground or psychologically campaigning than to spending all their time just fighting on one cause about this. But my point to you is there's an accusation that, you know, the NIA is psychologically favoring the
government of the day.
The government of the day due to the few statistics that I've given you. I listened to Esirin Ketia yesterday. He made mention. I listened to Director of Election, Elvis Efrie Ankra. You also mentioned that. So, what is your take on that?
Thank you so much. What is it? Also, Jack. Like I told you earlier, I was about to make a point when you went for big. I was saying that let me be a little bit realistic here. You see, also, Jack, not until these political parties in Ghana, Latif, when I mentioned NPP is upset, so I will amend my submission. Not until all the political parties, NDC, MPP, CPP, and other political parties, began to respect the neutrality of the EC. By this, the accusation of colliance and discolliance with a political party will continue. Any party that is in power,
I think we'll definitely wrap up maybe in the next 15 minutes.
Yes. Any party that is in power tends to accuse another party for being in bed with the EC. And that is giving the EC a free chance to operate. There are a lot of things, Latif, EC aye. Whether the time of NDC, whether the time of NPP, and yet.
Sure.
Also, there are a lot of things that now are speaking as man, but PR for who? EC. All the MP as and during their term, when MPP was advocating new voter register in NDC regime, NDC, including former President Rollis and former President the EC, that if such a nature is not going to help, we are now allowing the EC to take us for granted. So not until we respect ourselves and then do it. Now coming back to the issue of the NIE or what is registering at the stronghold of the NDC. Listen to me very well. You brought up this issue. Did you include Northern Region?
Yes.
Northern Region is not a stronghold of NDC. Per the election 2016. Northern Region.
It used to be. It used to be.
I gave you a point of reference.
Exactly.
I gave you a point of reference.
Yeah.
Per election
We have 15 minutes more to run up.
Abdul Latif.
Yeah.
Per the results of 2016, Northern Region has slipped from being a notorious stronghold of NDC. Now it is now split. NDC had 9 seats, MPP had 9 seats. When you go to northeast, I just wrote it when you were speaking. I just wrote it down. No, when you go to northeast, that is the Mamprasi area. They have 6 constituencies. NDC had 3, MPP had 3. So today, as I speak to you, NDC is losing its grounds. When you go to Upper West, listen to me, Abdul Latif. Upper West had 11 constituencies. NDC had 6 constituencies. MPP had 5 constituencies. So how can we describe those regions as a stronghold of NDC? NDC is gradually becoming distasteful to the Ghanaian electorate, and these are what they are saying. I will agree and subscribe to your advice to the NDC. When the National Identification Authority started, you remember it was NDC who even initiated that. It started during the time of NDC. But the MPP gave it full meaning and rigor. The NDC were on radio and national television advising its adherents and apparatus not to get themselves involved in the registration of the National Identification Authority. They were calling for people not to even go there. How do you do this thing to yourself? Sometimes they conduct themselves before thinking. You have made a reference to the General Secretary of NDC. The General Secretary of NDC, Asedun Ketia, during this pandemic, issue lockdown. Are you privy to what he said? He said the MPP or the government of the day was instituting those lockdowns because he wants to connive and condole with the EC in order to register people. When we release the lockdown too, he is on record to have said that we have done that simply because we want to do what? We want to embark on registration and then allow our primaries to be held.
Thank you.
This inconsistency of the NDC is not sitting.
General Latif.
Yeah.
I'll give you 5 minutes to wrap up.
Yeah. In wrapping up.
And thank you for your presentation.
Yeah. In wrapping up.
Deep. Thank you.
In wrapping up, what I will say is it will take a form of an appeal to various political stakeholders to duly conduct themselves, and another appeal goes to the EC, Madam Jane Mensah. She should recognize the fact that she's serving the people of Ghana. The voice of the people of Ghana should be upheld, not the voice of her boss. As from the indication we are seeing, she's rather playing the cards of her boss. It's unfortunate the constitutional provision makes it mandatory on the part of the sitting government to appoint an EC or to appoint the EC. So in line with the appointment, most often the government of the day has some level of influence on the very EC or the EC who is on the EC. That has always been the reason why political parties do agitate for enough transparency. As we head towards election, we all have the duty to conduct ourselves, stick to the rules. If the EC insists on the compilation of the register, well, as good citizens, we need to respect that, abide and go with the flow. I think that will help in nation building than sticking to our political views. On the view of CPP that I'm speaking for, I would have wished the issue of compilation of voter register should be suspended. But my view, or the views of the CPP, which I'm advocating, at the end of the day, the views of the nation supersede our political views. If the will of the people is to get a new voter register, we can say no to that. We'll give the EC the benefit of the doubt to go ahead, get us a new voter register, and at the end of the day, elections will be conducted. Whoever comes out a winner will have to abide, just as we did in previous years. I think that will be my position, and in drawing down, I'll want to say a big thank you to the team, Edinkra, and to my colleague, Honorable Muftar, for making this program a success. And big shout out goes to our listeners following us across the globe. Our friends in Ghana, I'm seeing them. Big shout outs to you too. And on that note, I'll end here and say a big thank you for the opportunity offered.
May that say, that's Honorable Abdul Latif summarizing his point. He said thank you to everyone. And now give the opportunity to Honorable Mazu.
Yeah, also, it's been refreshing having this conversation. The essence of the conversation is to build a better Ghana for us, and not a Ghana that belongs to MPP, neither a Ghana that belongs to NDC. at the end of the day, when we are able to make a productive and good input into our political discourse, the country becomes a better place for you and I. We are here hustling. We are here doing menial job because our country is not the best. So it is about time we put our political idiosyncrasies aside and then team up and build a very reputable country that becomes an enviable country for everybody. Today, as we speak in, election 2020 is not certain, but I hope and believe that it is going to come. The NDC should better compromise. They should come together. Let's have a very united force. Discuss it dispassionately. But being very transparent in your position, it doesn't solve issue. Relax. MPP, when we push Charlotte Osai for a new voter register, she didn't agree. And then we allow everything to go on. They should allow it. Power, I keep on telling people, also, winning BB. MPP cannot continue to be in power forever and ever. Me akasa minim said that be MPP beko out of power. That there will be a day when MPP will not be in power. So NDC should better come on board. Let's discuss things that will project Ghana into the international community. And on this, I thank you so much. My brother Abdul Latif, it's been nice discussing politics with him, and then I believe every single Saturday when he gets the time, because sometimes we are preoccupied with our social issues and other work, we don't get time to come in. So but when he comes, in fact he's welcome. And then EC should continue to do what the constitution mandates the outfit to do. Article 36 of our constitution is unambiguous about her neutrality. They should continue to do that. And at NDC, we have a mandate to save the good people of Ghana. On December 7th, 2020, this year, inshallah, the good people of Ghana are going to judge the MPP by the track record. The track record of free education, the track record of job for Ghanaians, that is which is captured under NAPCO, the track record of instituting or reinstituting the teacher training allowances and the nurses training allowance. Today, as we speak, there are a plethora of projects that is going on in our country that is very good. On this note, also our name and governor.
May I say. Once again, we are still in the studios of Enigma TV. Thank you so much to all our listeners around the world. Now I will conclude by saying, never give up on your dream because of the time it will take to accomplish it. Time will pass anyway. And also, you cannot have a positive life and a negative mind. Adofwa omuso ya sin mu so yadamasi ebebre Green Opal Properties. That's www.greenopalproperties.com. They are a building company. Then Beliza Decorations, 212-365-0765. Jack Building, best builders. You can always fall on them. You can always trust them. Then we call about Park Banquet. General Ike, 917-226-2605. And Nyamiche African Market and Shipping. Hey, African Market, you get it there. So ope prekese, ope ginger, ope lemon. Bibiano, Ubenyano, Ewoho. It's been great meeting you, Honorable Mazu, Honorable Abdul Latif, for your insight, for your presentation, for educating us. Thank you so much. And I will also finally sign up by saying, may God keep you, may God bless you, may the Lord shine his face upon you. We are just keeping it for rare. This is Edinkra TV. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you.